The body swap theory is one of the most divisive theories in the Good Omens fandom.
Right. Swap back then.
Did Crowley and Aziraphale swap bodies at some point during the final 15 minutes of Season 2? Let's take a look at both sides of the argument and see what we think after hearing all of the evidence. The body swap theory first appeared fairly soon after the initial airing of Episode 6 of Season 2. It very quickly branched off into dozens of variations on the same theme. It would be nearly impossible to hunt down and lay out the specifics of every version of this theory, so instead we are going to look at the broader theory that connects them all while touching on a few of these branches. In general, the body swap theory goes something like this. At some point after the arrival of the Metatron and the offer of the latte, but before the departure of Aziraphale in the elevator to heaven and Crowley in the Bentley, the two either intentionally or perhaps even accidentally swapped bodies. This would mean that it is actually Crowley pretending to be Aziraphale in the elevator, and it is actually Aziraphale standing so still and mute, leaning on the Bentley. Before we go into the details of this theory, the first thing we need to establish is what a body swap would actually entail. In Season 1, they didn't so much swap bodies as miracle themselves a sort of glamour, each cloaking themselves in the appearance of the other. Their bodies actually remain the same. This is vital for their survival of the hellfire and holy water. We have not seen them actually inhabit the earthly corporeal form of the other, although Aziraphale does sort of refer to the possibility when he is discorporated in Season 1. Perhaps their core occult essences could inhabit the physical bodies of the other, but we haven't seen it happen. By far, the most prominent aspect of this theory is that the swap most likely happened during the kiss, although some offshoots posit that Crowley paused time at some point and that the swap happened then. One of the biggest reasons that some fans theorize that the swap happened during the kiss is that there is a time jump right at this point. When Aziraphale enters the bookshop after speaking with the Metatron outside and Crowley begins his confession, you can see that the clock reads 9:25. The clock hands do not seem to move at all during the confession itself, which lasts roughly 5 minutes in screen time, and you can still see the clock just moments before the kiss still reading 9:25. But when the Metatron enters, it suddenly reads 9:40, and the clock had been moving forward at a normal rate since the demons invaded the bookshop. So in this theory, this 15-minute jump is when either Crowley stops time and then he and Aziraphale together plan to swap bodies, or when Crowley stops time for everyone, including Aziraphale, and does something on his own. This is sort of a separate theory, but it ties in, as the theory goes, that Crowley hid something in the bookshop at this point, most likely the Book of Life, in order to protect both of them from being erased, and that the kiss was used as a cover for Crowley's stopping time, as he needs to make a physical gesture to do it, and that gesture is running at Aziraphale, while the kiss itself is the actual mechanism of the swap. What other evidence exists for the theory of the body swap? Well, they've done it before, so there is precedent. The theory goes that Aziraphale is also acting very out of character, not quite himself, after the kiss. When he is nervous or unhappy, he tends to clasp his hands and fiddle with his ring. We can see this behavior going back as far as the time of Job, and he does it constantly in Season 2. He does not express this behavior a single time after the Metatron returns to the shop to escort him back to heaven. His arms stay very firmly by his side. Aziraphale seems worried that the Metatron is watching, glancing out the window during the confession and directly after the kiss. If they're planning on swapping, the Metatron mustn't see it. After touching his lips, he also moves his jaw in a way that we have seen Crowley do in the past. If you look at images of the smile that Aziraphale, actually Crowley, wears in heaven inside the hellfire during Season 1, and the smile that Crowley has in the elevator going down, they are quite similar to the smile at the final moment of the credit sequence. Aziraphale isn't the only one acting out of character. Crowley, normally so full of movement, is as still as a statue when he leans on the Bentley, and he is barely touching it, when he normally leans in fully when touching the Bentley. He also drives away extremely slowly, something we've never seen him do before. There's also all of the symbolism and foreshadowing of a magic trick being performed, paralleling the 1941 bullet catch. After the magic show, when Furfur confronts Crowley and Aziraphale, Aziraphale manages to palm the photo and put a flyer in the envelope. Same envelope, different contents than Furfur expects. So it might be with Aziraphale that he looks like Aziraphale on the outside, but the contents are really Crowley. The music right before the kiss scene is also the same leitmotif, it is called Life After Death, as is used when they originally started formulating the body swap in Season 1.
You don't have a side anymore. Neither of us do.
The movie Stairway to Heaven is referenced multiple times throughout Season 2, and the climax of that film has the female lead demonstrating her willingness to take the place of her dying lover in heaven. There is also an angel who stops time, and an important book, My Best Game of Chess, which may represent the Book of Life in Good Omens. There are also numerous Easter eggs in Season 2 concerning Doctor Who, and in Doctor Who, there are many kisses that are not meant to be romantic, at least not entirely, but are also a means to accomplish other ends. For instance, the 9th Doctor takes the time vortex out of Rose with a kiss, and the 10th Doctor kisses Martha to accomplish a genetic transfer. These are 2 examples, but there are many more. I will say that a lot of this theory seems to rest on how the audience interprets each expression and micro-expression of both characters. For instance, this expression on Aziraphale's face directly after the kiss is sometimes perceived as a confirmation glance at Crowley. As to a motive, why would they swap bodies? Some say because Crowley is a more powerful being, he would have a better chance of doing whatever needs doing up in heaven. Generally, it is said that they are doing it to protect each other. Since numerous cast and crew have mentioned that the show is littered with clues and Easter eggs, it has us all looking closely at every detail and assuming that every single thing we see is intentional. So why the 15-minute time jump? Why the same leitmotif from Season 1? Why the entirety of the magic bullet catch, the lip reading, the picture swap when Aziraphale usually can't perform sleight of hand very well? This theory seems to try and answer all of these questions, fill in these gaps in our knowledge, and assert that they did indeed swap bodies or appearances. Now, let's take a look at all of the reasons against the body swap theory. Rather than clues, most of the points against the body swap theory are based on storytelling and plot construction. In most well-written stories, main characters either have character arcs where they learn and grow, like Ebenezer Scrooge of A Christmas Carol or Prince Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender, or they are characters that help other people to be better and to grow, like Superman or Paddington Bear. Aziraphale's story so far seems to be one of a person on a path of personal growth, learning to assert his own moral judgment and not to rely so much on others. Having Crowley actually be the one going to heaven would eliminate the story of Aziraphale finally truly understanding the depths of the institutional problems of heaven and hell. Crowley can't teach him everything, or it diminishes Aziraphale's agency and character growth. Aziraphale does indeed seem worried that the Metatron is watching, and his behavior and smile are not entirely normal. But if it's really just Aziraphale, he would naturally be worried that the Metatron would see something he considered inappropriate, including Crowley's confession and the kiss, which Heaven certainly would not approve of. As to the smile, many fans say he is trying to put on a brave face, an unperturbed front. The smile shows a mask that he's putting on in heaven, demonstrating to the audience that he has his own plans and ideas, just as he said when the demons were invading the bookshop, and isn't just relying on Crowley to rescue him. The rest of the trip in the elevator, he looks extremely nervous, much as he does while preparing to go on stage for the first time in 1941. And as the Shostakovich records indicate, and is perhaps also foreshadowed with the envelope in 1941, Aziraphale's exterior remains the same, the envelope, while his interior has changed or is changing. Compliance on the outside, rebellion underneath. In addition, the entire confession followed by the kiss and then the gut-wrenching separation is a deep emotional investment, both for the characters and for the audience. Having them stop and plan the entire thing, or even a part of it, would cheapen that emotional experience. So, there you have it, the many details of the potential body swap and the rebuttal argument. In my opinion, both make legitimate points. There are a lot of strange things going on in Season 2. The magic trick in 1941 seems to be layered with meaning and foreshadowing. There is something weird about the final 15. But there are also entirely non-body swap explanations for all of these theories and arguments. It doesn't make the counter-argument correct, but the counter-arguments do exist. So, what do you think? Do you think they swapped bodies or swapped appearances? Do you think Crowley conferred some sort of protection onto Aziraphale? Or do you take the final 15 at face value? Two occult beings desperately trying to find a way to be together and failing, leading to broken hearts. Was the kiss a last-ditch effort to convince Aziraphale to run away with him, or was it a gesture meant to disguise a big time-stopping miracle? Is that Crowley getting in the elevator and giving us such a mischievous smile, or is it Aziraphale? Some theories we may never know if they are true or not, but we will be getting an answer to this theory in the final 90 minutes, so I'm really interested to find out which way the story goes. I hope you enjoyed this video on the body swap. It was very interesting for me to research the theory and find out all the little details and bits of supporting evidence floating around out there. I'll be putting out another deep dive analysis next week, and filming and production news should be coming hot and fast soon, so if you're a Good Omens fan, please subscribe so you can get notified for future videos. I do want to remind everybody about Good Omens Got True Talents. The deadline for entering is the end of April, and I really am excited to see all of your entries. The link to the official website is in the description below. Any and all talents, as long as the project is Good Omens related, are welcome. Any and all talent levels, skill levels, ages, everyone is invited. We have a couple of wonderful guest hosts. Rachel and Bethany from the Ineffable Con have agreed to be there as a guest host, as is Gleefer. It's going to be a big event and a lot of fun, so check that website out, get some ideas, and I look forward to seeing what you create. I'd like to thank all of my patrons who make this channel possible, including newest member Lady Bracknell, ineffable patrons Madman D, Georgiana, and Georgia Washington, and super patron Bildad tier Auntless.